Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat Srimata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hridyantasto Hyapadrani Vidunodi Suvatsadam Nashtaprayeshu Apaddeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Today I am going to read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 9, verse 5. Savaitadaiva pratipaditam girim devi parijnanada paramatma tam bhakti bhavopayagranada satvaram parisrudor savasam duvarshadam. Translation and purport by Sri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Saha, Dhruva Maharaja. Why, certainly. Tadha, at that time. Eva, just. Pratipaditam, having attained. Giram, speech. Devam, transcendental. Parijnada, understood. Para Atma, of the super soul. Nirnayaha, the conclusion. Tam, to the Lord. Bhakti Bhavaha, situated in devotional service. Abhyagranath, offered prayers. Asadvaram, without any hasty conclusion. Parisruda, widely known. Urushanavasam, whose fame. Dhruvakshidaha, Dhruva, whose planet would not be annihilated. Translation. At that time, Dhruva Maharaja became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth and his relationship with all living entities. In accordance with the line of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread, Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which could never be annihilated, even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers. Purport. There are many important items to be considered in this verse. First of all, the relationship between the absolute truth and the relative material and spiritual energies is here understood by a student who has complete knowledge of the Vedic literature. Dhruva Maharaja never went to any school or academic teacher to learn the Vedic conclusion. But because of his devotional service to the Lord, as soon as the Lord appeared and touched his forehead with his conch shell, automatically the entire Vedic conclusion was revealed to him. That is the process of understanding Vedic literature. One cannot understand it simply by academic learning. The Vedas indicate that only to one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord as well as in the spiritual master is the Vedic conclusion revealed. The example of Dhruva Maharaja is that he engaged himself in devotional service to the Lord according to the order of his spiritual master Narada Muni. As a result of his rendering such devotional service with great determination and austerity, the personality of Godhead personally manifested himself before him. Dhruva was only a child. He wanted to offer nice prayers to the Lord, but because he lacked sufficient knowledge, he hesitated. But by the mercy of the Lord, as soon as the Lord's conch shell touched his forehead, he became completely aware of the Vedic conclusion. That conclusion is based on proper understanding of the difference between Jiva and Paramatma, the individual soul and the super soul. The individual soul is forever a servant of the super soul, and therefore his relationship with the super soul is to offer service. That is called Bhakti Yoga or Bhakti Bhava. Dhruva Maharaja offered his prayers to the Lord not in the way of the impersonal philosophers but as a devotee. Therefore, it is clearly said here Bhakti Bhava. The only The only prayers worth offering are those offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose reputation is spread far and wide. Dhruva Maharaja wanted to have the kingdom of his father, but his father refused even to allow him to get on his lap. In order to fulfill his desire, the Lord had already created a planet known as Polestar Dhruvaloka, which was never to be annihilated even at the time of the dissolution of the universe. Dhruva Maharaja attained this perfection not by acting hastily but by patiently executing the order of his spiritual master, and therefore he became so successful that he saw the Lord face to face. Now he was further enabled by the causeless mercy of the Lord to offer fitting prayers to the Lord. To glorify or offer prayers unto the Supreme, one needs the Lord's mercy. One cannot write to glorify the Lord unless one is endowed with His causeless mercy. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपेष्टाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिधि नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. I like to seek blessings from all the assembled devotees. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to purify myself. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or adding my own interpretation. In order to prepare this class, I took most of the points from Gurujan Prabhu's commentary on this verse. And Dharmapal Swami Maharaj also did a series of classes about Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva started his austerities at Madhuvan near the bank of Yamuna. He performed the process with utmost sincerity. In the last month of his austerities, he even stopped his breathing process and was in deep meditation on the form of the Lord. Suddenly, the brilliant lightning-like form of the Lord vanished from Dhruva's heart. When he opened his eyes, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was standing in front of him. Dhruva's austerity is all so perfect that he had the darshan of the Lord within 6 months of his very intense tapasya. When he saw the Lord, Dhruva fell to the ground in obeisances, falling before the Lord. Yesterday, Vamshi Prabhu explained about Dhruva's ecstatic love towards the Lord. Dhruva felt as if he was drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth and embracing him with his arms. Dhruva wanted to greet the Lord with prayerful words, but he hesitated because he is feeling that he is too young and inexperienced to do the prayers. Knowing Dhruva's awkwardness, the Lord touched Dhruva's forehead with his conch shell, empowering Dhruva to have full awareness of the absolute truth. In this purport, it states that the entire Vedic conclusion was revealed to him. Dhruva instantly thanked the Lord, and as he comprehended the absolute truth by the Lord's mercy, he understood that the Lord's blessing would grace his words. Srila Prabhupada notes that the Lord's blessings empowers a devotee to glorify him. Devotees are always interested in hearing about the Lord's transcendental qualities, and they're always eager to glorify these qualities. But sometimes we feel inconvenienced by humbleness. The personality of God being situated in everyone's heart as Paramatma or Super Soul gives the devotee intelligence to describe him. The individual soul is the servant of the Super Soul. Thus, the relationship of the individual soul is to offer service to the Lord. That is, or to the Paramatma. That is Bhakti Yoga. It is therefore understood that if a devotee writes or speaks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his words are dictated by the Lord from within. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter. To those who constantly engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord from within dictates what to do next in order to serve Him. Krishna is transcendental beyond the material world, and this implies that nothing in this world can please Him. Whatever devotee offers, therefore, including their words, is made of bhakti, the Lord's internal spiritual energy. It is the bhakti shakti added to the devotee's sincere desire to glorify Krishna that empowers their words and bring Krishna pleasure. Sri Vallabha Bhatta states that Kali Kalera Dharma Krishna Nama Sankirtana Krishna Shakti Vina Nahe Tare Pravartana. The fundamental religious system in the age of Kali is the chanting of the holy name of the Krishna. Unless empowered by Krishna, one cannot propagate the Sankirtana movement. Prabhupada explains that spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord Hare. The energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Supreme Lord, that is called Sevonmukha. At that time, the spiritual energy gradually reveals the Lord to him. Dhruva successfully completed and fulfilled the instructions and desires of his spiritual master Narada Muni. In order to do that, one needs to have the quality of self-control. Dhruva was doing his devotional practice of chanting the holy name of the Lord, worshipping him, etc., with unwavering determination and fully controlling his senses. Enthusiasm is an important quality for all of us. Enthusiasm to go forward in fulfilling our mission despite all obstacles is the quality which makes a person distinct to others. Dhruva manifested great enthusiasm and patience while undergoing his austerities in order to have the darshan of the Lord. Dhruva was just a 5-year-old boy when he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He became increasingly ecstatic and was not able to speak. The Lord empowered him by touching his forehead with the conch shell. Dhruva offered most charming prayers glorifying the Supreme Lord that we can see in the following verses. By seeing the unparalleled beauty and opulence of the Lord, Dhruva completely forgot his original material desires of getting the kingdom greater than Lord Brahma. Instead, he only wanted to serve the Lord life after life. Devotional service to Lord is so potent that the performer becomes totally purified and only wants to serve the Lord. Lord purifies the material desires of the devotee and awards him pure devotional service. The Lord awarded Dhruva Maharaj Dhruva Loga, which is one of the Vaikuntha Logas situated in this world. Dhruva Loga, also known as the Pole Star, is a central pivotal point of the whole universe, a higher attainment than Brahma Loga. Dhruva Maharaj attained this by patiently executing the order of his spiritual master, Narada Muni. This verse teaches us about the importance of having a spiritual master in our life. Spiritual master is none other than the confidential servant of the Lord who guides us through our spiritual journey. I would like to end here. Pancha Kalpadari